All right, hey, it's the preamble. It's the part of the show we don't like, where we say clearly and distinctly that we are aware we're being surveilled. We do not like it. We did not ask for it. If anyone's making money off of it, it sure as fuck is not us. And we want out. Hey, time to tackle another fucking lie. uh, Probably should have started with this one, but it's complicated and they need a little bit of time to figure out how to address it. So, this idea that this stream and all the rest of the bullshit that you can see but absolutely should not be able to see is kind of like a numbers station or something, like that's sending out discrete messages to someone. We would have no idea who that person is or those people would be. Um, I don't think that we have some massive cadre of fans somewhere slavering over our every word. Um, but hey, let's put that science to the test. If you're out there, get a wagon of you together. You know our address. Just fucking come here and get us the fuck out. We don't expect anything to happen as a result of that. It'd be nice. Um, it becomes muddled a little bit because we've said and have meant it that we use the stream as an excuse to sermonize and moralize a little bit. The fact that I've recently been playing games that focus on philosophical concepts and the ideas of personhood uh, is not an accident. It's something that I've been thinking about myself because of all of this shit. But the idea that we are uh, using this to send out reports or orders to some shady cadre is fucking ludicrous on its face. Let's forget the fact that it's like some fucking airport spy thriller bullshit. We're not good at that. We're not subtle people. We specifically don't want to be. Um, we live in the second time, and the idea that we can skillfully craft together some kind of secret code language is so goddamn beyond us. It also like directly it's an actual non-bow with one of the other lies that we'll get into another day, where people think that we're idiots and use AI to do everything, which we don't. But that's a longer thing. We'll talk about that later. It's amazing how many of the lies crisscross and contradict each other. It's almost like the point is to just throw whatever accusations you can at the wall and see what sticks. And I don't know. If that's what you're doing, you've probably are starting from a bad space, and I don't have to listen to you. Other people shouldn't either. All right. I'm going to do the music, and we're going to get into Citizen Sleeper. like that one actually. I'm not. It's not a compare and contrast with the music I was using previously. But this is a little more upbeat, and I feel it's actually doing like a pretty good job picking my mood back up. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all those who do not feel represented by an oppressive gender binary, hello and welcome. I'm September Tech. You're whoever the hell you say you are, for better or for worse. I implore you to be better. All you can control is yourself, so have some self-control. Um, what's up? It's going to be more Citizen Sleeper. That shouldn't surprise you. It's been Citizen Sleeper every weekday for the last week and change. Uh, and I'm really excited to get into it because I've kind of forgotten how this DLC goes. I have some memories of like the kind of larger set pieces, but the thing I remembered most was the sort of uh, the barricade run that we just did. So I'm really excited to get back into it and see how it goes. Before we do that, need some content warnings. So Citizen Sleeper is a game where we are a robot without legal personhood living in the margins of a giant space station. It is a cyberpunk story full of unfeeling corporate dickheads and uh, the people trying to survive in that system one way or another. So it trades in a little bit of systemic abuse from a bunch of different angles, but does so respectfully. I still can't find the word I want. It's not respectfully, but it means about the same thing. I'll come back to it. Um, the correct words are important. They uh, tint the language, I think. Um, anyway, the we are specifically to get into it a little bit deeper, going to be talking a lot, or the game is rather going to be talking a lot about um, refugees and immigration and uh, people who think that that's a bad idea. If those are topics which are triggering to you, then maybe this is not the game for you, or I could be your guide through it if that's what's if that's how you enjoy dealing with stuff like this. We're sort of the same way with like Disco Elysium. We would never want to play Disco Elysium really because uh, it felt really damn it felt really. I don't mean menacing. It felt like too heavy to deal with for us at the time it came out, but like watching streams of it was a nice little buffer between us and it. So if you're doing that, cool. There is also some violence. It is all taken care of, not taken care of. It is all uh, presented through text. There is no visual elements to the dialogue besides a red flash on screen. The descriptions of violence are not terribly gory, but not gory. It's again downplayed. So if there's your fair warning for that. And I think that's everything I need to do for the game specifically. For myself, I am a strange person who occasionally makes weird sex jokes or speaks frankly about my trauma, and if that's not your vibe, that's okay. If you're cool hanging around that sort of energy, I'm happy to have you here. If you're here specifically to mock that, go fuck yourself. Get away. Why are you here? Go do any other thing. Yeah, let's get in the game then. Let's pop up this and minimize that and double click the icon. And the game will load here any old second. Yes, indeed, any old second. There it goes. Can I get the... no. I was wondering if I could get the closed captions working on the stream preview the way I have it up, but I cannot. Let's continue. And talk about where we were. Like I said, we just did a massive barricade run. Peak and Esh, our new friends and their stolen ship, decided to take that stolen ship across a corporate enforced barricade between the main part of the station itself and a flotilla of refugee ships that we can kind of see out there in the out there just beyond. It's going to take 3 days to figure out what's going on with that. And while we wait for that, we have something else we can do. Well, first of all, oh, I've gone ahead and the autosave was at the end of the cycle, so let's go ahead and do the sleep and pop back up. We'll do our work shift at the commune real quick. And most of the, like I said in the Go Live Toot, did I hit go on that? Yes, I did. Like I said in the Go Live Toot, we're deep into DLC territory. Most of the things are done. We don't even have any active drives right now. But we do have, why don't we have an active drive? There's a thing that we can absolutely work on, which is up here in the hub. Bliss had one more job for us suddenly, and it turned out to be disarming the Ambergris. Amber is the ship belonging to the mercenary Ankita. We had a really fucking bad experience with Ankita, and then we let her know that that experience was bad and sort of let her know in no uncertain terms that we just didn't want any part of what she had going on anymore. And it kind of made her rethink herself a little bit, I guess, because she's leaving the life of a mercenary and uncoupling all the weapons from her ship, which is what this job is that we're about halfway done with. So let's go ahead and work on that a little bit. Actually, I guess we can just finish doing that. Sure, working on Amber again is a joy. You know every inch of this hull. After all, you fitted half of it. Amber looks better than she has ever done. Bliss has done an incredible job of cleaning up the hull, and despite the exterior changes being limited, she has the impression of being lighter, somehow sleeker than before. I guess you look you look sleeker if you drop 80 pounds of weaponry. Moritz drifts by. He has been loading up the final equipment onto Amber. It turns out Ankita will be taking her weapons, but packed and ready to sell at the first starward belt port she hits. But now that Moritz is done, he seems in a kind of daze, floating back and forth aimlessly. You okay, Moritz? What's that? He turns. Oh, right, yeah. Packed and stacked. He smiles a weak smile. I was hoping Miss Cassetta would let me keep a warhead. For what? He shrugs. I don't know. Just might be a cool thing to have around. Hey, Sleeper. He looks down. Did you know Bliss was leaving? You understand now. She told him. That's why he's like this. She's leaving? Huh. He gives you a look. You didn't know? She said this place is mine? He looks up around the bay like it is suddenly some vast space he doesn't know what to do with. Can you manage it? He looks down at you, a glazed look on his face. I don't know. I just don't know. A dark look suddenly crosses his face. Hey, Sleeper, there was something Bliss said. He meets your eye. Are you going too? Before you can answer, Ankita glides into the bay, a massive crate on her shoulder. Sleeper, you coming or what? Bliss is already on board. She stops by the terminal, holding herself in place. Moritz looks at her with a dazed expression. You look at Ankita. She's keeping it together now. She's packed all those bad feelings down someplace where you'll never see them and built a tough foundation on top. She may not be a mercenary anymore, but you imagine most people would think twice before trying to cross her. Well, she looks at you. I'm not eager to spend another moment of my time on this station unless I have to. She pauses, looking between you and Moritz. She sighs. I'll give you a minute, and kicks off with the crate, taking it to the end of the bay where the Amber sits docked. You look back at Moritz. We're going to hit I'm going, and then it'll probably give us an ending and a credit sequence. We'll reboot the save and do this again and stay instead. I'm going. Moritz looks like he might pass out. I get it. He steels himself. It's the right decision. Thank you. Hey, thank you for working with me these past cycles. He smiles a shaky smile. I learned a lot. Hey, look. He moves a little closer. You've got to find what you need. I did. Bliss, this place, you. This was everything I needed. He sniffs. I was in a bad place, and this pulled me out. He looks away. You go find it. Ankita comes back across the bay, the final crate stowed. You coming then, Sleeper? I'm coming. Okay then. Come on over with your things, we'll get you settled. She pauses. I'm sure Amber will be happy to have you. You both glide away from Moritz, his eyes wet, but a smile on his face. He waves as you go, dwarfed by the vast bay, and you hope he will make it, even though you know, somehow, that he will. Ankita helps you through the lock, onto the Amber, and the sense of familiarity is overwhelming. You think about all the time you've spent working in these corridors, listening to these sounds, diagnosing those hisses. Ankita gives you a minute before she speaks. Look, Sleeper, I'm not going to go back over everything that happened. She sighed. I'm trying to put that behind me. She stops, unsure of how to proceed. I need to learn to trust you again. She nods. I understand. She stops. You don't ever need to trust me again if you don't want to. She shakes her head. I mean, take your time. I get it. She sounds pained, tired. As you move off down the corridor towards the berths, she tries again. I don't think it was that I thought the wrong things about who or what you are. I just didn't think of you. I mean, I didn't think about how things might affect you. And I realized I've been like that for a long time. Focused, stubborn, willing to get the job done at any cost. She pauses. This is hard for her, but you don't want to interrupt. Well, I'm sick of paying that cost. I was sick of being used as an extension of something bigger, something crueler than me, and having that cruelty, that violence flow through me. I just want to be me for a while. She looks down, or at least figure out who that is. She takes a deep breath. So what I'm saying is, you can get off at the first port we hit in the belt. I wouldn't blame you. It's a smart move. She pauses. Or you can stick around. We'll see if we can't find a way to make space for all of this. She looks away, her energy exhausted. I'll think about it. She nods, nothing else. This is you. She turns to a small room with a bunk and porthole to the flickering lights outside. No, this is Patrick. The outside wall is sloped, like a roof, and tucked beneath it is a small desk and terminal. I am gonna just say the fucking thing, because it's like, every single time I think about it, I'm struck by the... I'm struck by the deal. I love the "no, this is Patrick" bit, because he's correct. Patrick is identifying that he is not his job, he is a person. It's good. Bliss is next door, though I think she's in the hold right now. She says she wants to make sure the warheads are locked down tight. Ankita observes your nervous response. I mean, they are, obviously. She gives you a look. Ankita slips away and you look around the room. You go over to the porthole and place a hand on the wall and feel Amber purr. You think you're gonna like it here. You stay that way for a while, looking at the porthole, one hand on the wall, feeling the ship. It is through that porthole that you will watch the eye getting smaller and smaller, drowning in the black. At some point, it will become so small that you could hold it between your thumb and index finger, and then it will wink out, and you won't be able to see it anymore. And it is at that moment that you will finally exhale and collapse onto your bunk. In moments, you will be asleep, and when you wake up, it will be among friends, on your way to somewhere new. We are going to skip over the credits again for the moment. Go back, redo that, and stay on to help Moritz and the refugee camp. This is saying I have points available. Oh, I have 2 upgrade points, and I might as well use them, because... like, this is the last perk. So, hey, there we go. We have 2 plus 2s we can get now, but that's going to take 6 points altogether to upgrade to. We'll figure it out. I'm going to have to redo the checks for these, but I'm using 6s, so there's not a chance of failure. That's great, and we are going to skip over. Zoot through the dialogue. I'm staying. Moritz looks like he might pass out. Sleeper, are you sure? Are you doing this for me? No, I'm staying for me. Moritz nods. Alright then. You're staying. He grins. Ankita comes back across the bay, the final crate stowed. You staying then, Sleeper? That's right. She nods. Well, okay then. One less mouth to feed. She pauses. Look, Sleeper, I'm not... Is this the... Oh, no, of course it wouldn't be the same. I'm not gonna go back over everything that happened, she sighs. I'm trying to put that behind me, but... I hope you find what you're looking for here. She smiles and kicks off, gliding to the ambergris and the starward belt beyond. You both watch in silence as Amber's drives fire up. Guess this is our place now, says Moritz, the weight of everything suddenly hitting him. Your place. He smiles. Okay, but I'll need some help from time to time. You both stay for a while to watch Amber and Bliss and Ankita leave, and then Moritz goes to the racks to finally implement a new organizational system, and you head out, promising to be back to check on things soon. As you glide around the soft curve of the hub, you catch glimpses of the distant stars flickering through the windows. They are beautiful, it's true, but by now you think of them as a distraction. In your time on the Eye, you realize there's nothing out there waiting for you. No fresh starts and no bright futures, just a whole load of problems you haven't found yet. No, your place is here, among the people and the problems you know. You wish Ankita and Bliss the best of luck out in the belt, but as you do, you focus on the Eye, on the vast spinning rim that rotates around its hub, on its buildings and flashing lights, on its people and places. This is your home, and for now, it contains all the futures you need. Again, we're gonna swoop past the credits. We'll let them run when we get to like the end of the DLC stuff, like when it's the proper like finale of the streams. Next round is yours. Moritz arrives at the table with a couple of steel drink canisters, typical of the hub's only bar, the Gimbal Lounge. He settles into the webbing beside the table and clunks them down onto the magnetic table. This place, you have decided, is ridiculous. A rapidly spinning, cavernous sphere, the gimbal's weak gravity, just like the gravity at the eye's rim, is created by its gut-wrenching rotation. The interior surface of the sphere is the gimbal's floor, which descends towards the equator where one long bar loops around the entire circumference. Tumbling out from that central ring are an array of booths and seating arrangements, equipped with all kinds of harnesses and webbing to keep customers in place. Those harnesses are there because the gimbal doesn't quite spin up fast enough, and you watch as the clientele bounce towards the bar in lazy arcs, or shift from table to table with graceful leaps. What are you thinking? Asks Moritz, noticing you staring out into the gimbal. How weird this place is, what to do next, or nothing. What to do next? Moritz looks out at the gimbal. I try not to think too hard about that, he says absent-mindedly. Moritz takes a drink and stretches. So, Sleeper, you sticking around? You'll have me. Moritz nods. Of course, I'm gonna need help in the bay. Moritz rubs the back of his head. One cycle at a time. That's how we'll take it. Nice and easy. You aren't sure if he is talking to himself or you. We'll make it. He lifts his drink for a toast. To the next cycle, he pronounces, and knocks it back. Moritz does not look old enough to drink. I guess I don't know what alcohol laws exist in space. So maybe that's nothing. But Moritz is drawn like he's about like 18 at most. I understand that there are places in the world where like 18 is a legal drinking age. I'm of course coming at this from my own point of view as someone who lives in America. Later, when you finally leave the gimbal, Moritz is still laughing. You help him out of the spinning gimbal and back into the hub, sending him on his way home to the bay. Then you pause for a moment to watch the stars as they spin and spin around the eye. You smile to yourself and think of Bliss and Ankita out there somewhere among those points of light. To the next cycle. let's check out what Bliss's Bay looks like now. We can still do work there if we want to. It's still the component repair job. It still pays 20 cryo on a positive result. Not that we need the money at this point. Let's just go ahead and do a shift there. Did I forget to do my shift at the Haifa colony? I think I did. No, not the fucking capsule place. Alright, so let's take this one thing we have. Oh, right. I know I didn't because my energy is still down. And working at the commune is how I'm refilling my energy these days. So. Here we are. And we'll, hang on. How much longer do we have? Oh, we have 2 days still. Before the thing that happens at the cordon happens. In the meantime, I guess, like, with nothing else to do, let's, put in our shift at the... Put in our shift at the zone. We'll go ahead and grab some spores so that we can... immediately replant once the spore colony we have is done growing. And we still have one more die to play with. Let's have a look at cyberspace. We haven't done that in a while. Those are all the spent nodes from working with Fang a little while ago. Right, I forgot that, like, basically all of the Greenway is cyberspace is, like, the gardener's place. There's what? A Yatagan agent, another Yatagan agent, and a couple of Heavenage agents. Like, at this point, they're just sort of there for us to hack if we want to, and we'll get some data, and then we can sell that data off. I'm going to go ahead and grab myself some Heavenage data, actually, while I'm thinking about it. Because we are about to probably get pretty deep into Heavenage politics. As a story reminder, we got approached by a woman called Helene. Helene advised us to not do the supply run that we just did across the cordon because there are people attempting to lift the quarantine to just bring the refugees on, but there's also a group of, she keeps calling them hardliners, who don't want refugees on the station in any way whatsoever. I think it's telling that their process on deciding whether or not to lift the quarantine does not actually involve the refugees in any way. So I'm just going to take some of that Heavenage data and tuck it away for later. You know, rather have it and not need it. Let's end that cycle. Oh shit, I probably should have bumped my stabilizer. No, I'm still on 4 dice, but that was a fun noise. That's a new one. Um, it hits you like a wave, a white-edged breaker roaring inland with the force of the entire ocean. The impact is a screaming brightness, blanking out everything. Behind it is silence. You float in silence, suspended. No, you do not float. You are the silence. It has filled you up. It has emptied you out. You cease to exist. Time passes, though you do not feel it passing. Then something flickers in the silence, and then something moves. That something is you. You open your eyes to a metal ceiling of flickering lights. You feel the floor around you, patting it with shaking hands. You assemble an image of yourself, lying on your back in a corridor. You shake off the silence and sit up. What was that? You glance around looking for a sign of some change. Damage on the walls, shouts in the distance, fire and fear. Nothing has changed. The silence sits around you like fog. You try to think, furrowing your brow. How do you think again? It doesn't seem so easy anymore. You force the pathways to light up, the databanks to grant access. You feel like a fraction drive starting up after a long shutdown in cold vacuum. In the wave was noise. Just as the sound produced by a wave raking across a pebble beach represents trillions of impacts heard as a single roar, so this sound was the result of trillions of electrons flickering in place, heard as a single impossible scream. A memory and image comes to you, one from moments before the waves hit. You squint as you imagine it, trying to cohere its blurry form. A broken skeletal ring, the eye, and then a vast arc approaching it, a razor-edged white curve. The wave. The wave approaches the eye. The eye spins, turning each part to face that vast white edge. You recognize their skeletal data cloud forms. Bright Market, Low End, the Greenway, the Wastes, and then the wave hits just as the flotilla of the cordon turns to face it. And after that, everything is silence. You open your eyes again. That is the epicenter. But of what? Fun. Cool and good. Not unnerving. Not unnerving even a little bit. I'm fine with this information. Even before you reach the cordon, the damage is obvious. Blinking red lights, the drones, the tugs, all are gone. Half the cordon's frame has also been shorn away, perhaps through the impact of some failing ship. People push past you in the corridor, both Heavenage staff and contractors, clearing the cordon. Try to speak to them? You were met with suspicious looks and scattered warnings, but little else. From the equipment being carried out, you suspect this is no relief effort. Heavenage are pulling out of this section of the station. The further you pass into the cordon, the less people you see. You can see a few sections have been closed off, their bulkhead doors sealed and red warning lights punctuating the corridors, but otherwise most areas seem functional. Suddenly, you feel a hand on your shoulder. Heavenage security? You should have known better than to wander into this place. You brace yourself as you turn. Sleeper. Peak embraces you as you turn. What are you doing here? Did you see the cordon go down? Did Ash speak with you? Peak glances around and you can see they're panicked. I don't know what's happening. That makes two of us. Ash left without even saying anything. Peak runs a hand through their hair. I was away from the ship, and then when I got back, she'd taken it and gone. Then I saw the damage to the cordon. Peak looks at you with wild eyes. What if this is some Heavenage attempt to clear the flotilla, to scuttle the refugee ships? Don't jump to conclusions. Peak pauses. What do you know, Sleeper? Something knocked me out. Peak frowns. I didn't feel anything. They pause to think. A signal that only affects electrical systems, perhaps? An EMP would have taken out most of the station, but... Peak runs a hand through their hair. I don't know what you're saying, Sleeper. That doesn't sound... They look away down the corridor for a moment. Look, I have to find Ash. I'm sure you felt something, but we can talk about that later. They set off down the corridor. I can't sit around talking any longer. Find me on the flotilla. I'm gonna find a way to Ash, no matter what. With that, they rush away into the depths of the cordon, leaving you behind. Seems like you'll need to follow if you want to get any answers. You find a small shuttle scavenging supplies from the cordon to take back to the flotilla. They'll take you too, or you bring some scrap along. Yeah, I guess. Hang on, I just need to go ahead and grab some scrap real quick. Actually, let's do our daily work assignment at the commune. Get our energy back up. And I need one more piece of scrap. We could get that here in the wastes. And then let's head over to the flotilla. See what it's like over there. You hand over the scrap and squeeze into the crowded shuttle. Time to head to the flotilla. And now we just have access to that, I guess. It's a series of 3 quite large ships and a number of smaller ships surrounding them. Let's stop in at this tube-shaped one first. Oh, this is another exploratory thing. We can haul supplies or do damage control to raise up a clock called Flotilla's Friend, shifting ship systems and social structures, which is a lot of S's to put right in a row. Thanks. The only way to navigate the flotilla is by rolling up your sleeves and helping out. Can do. Let's do damage control, because we're better at that. And also, oh, hey, doing it just twice has revealed Peak to us. As you walk into the bay of the Climbing Briar, the familiarity of the space overcomes any trepidation. It feels good to be back, and the return feels earned, especially after all the work it took to figure out a route through the flotilla's jumble of ships that might lead you to this blue streak. You see Esh and Peak immediately, sitting at the back of the bay, deep in conversation. Their closeness causes you to stop, suddenly aware that you might be interrupting something private. Peak is gesturing wildly as Esh stares out into the middle distance, hunched over. As Peak tries to get her attention, she spots you. Sleeper, Esh nods. That's incredible work back there. She smiles. I'm sorry I couldn't wait for you and Peak. The moment I saw the cordon go down, I had to get in there. Peak shakes their head. Sleeping before looking, as usual. Peak smiles, but I'm glad we're all reunited. To be honest, I can't believe it. The flux event knocked the entire cordon system offline. The flotilla is free, and Heavenage is backing off. Peak smiles at you. You must be our good luck charm. Flux event? That's what the refugees are calling it. Apparently, that's what they called it when it started happening around Ember. But what exactly is happening? It's hard to tell. It's some kind of disruptive wave that only affects electrical systems. Typically, systems are screened against radiation interference, but this seems to be dulled but not stopped by those defenses. Basically, the crisis continues. The cordon may be down, but this brings a whole other set of problems. Esh paces away. You should tell them, Esh. Peak glances at her. Please. Esh doesn't respond. Tell you what? You stare at her back, waiting for a response. Please, Esh, haven't they shown you they can be trusted? Peak nods toward you. Ash turns, her arms folded tightly across her chest. She goes to start and then stops. You can see the anger in her eyes, but you realize it's not directed at you or at anyone else. She's angry with herself. I brought weapons to the flotilla, she pauses, and now they're gone. You suddenly remember the sleek crates that were tucked into the bay, marked with a yellow sigil. The ones Ash told you were just supplies. What do you mean, gone? What do you think? Ash snaps. Someone lifted them from the ship's bay while I was unloading the supplies. Sheep sniffs. At least they're in the hands of the flotilla now. Peak looks at you. She knows this was a bad move, Sleeper, I promise you. They glance back at her. She's just too proud to admit it. So, what now? Peak looks at Ash. She finds them, and she gets them back. Shouldn't we help? Ash turns. It's okay, Sleeper. I don't want anyone getting mixed up in this. This is my responsibility. She looks away. Plus, Peak adds, you and I have work to do. I want to understand the flux, Sleeper, to study it. Peak's eyes light up. This thing is changing the entire system, causing problems across the inner system, driving refugees off Ember's moons, and now it's here. If we don't do something about it, Peak pauses, it's a problem for all of us. I can see more immediate problems, Ash sniffs. Peak ignores her. I've been looking at the networks, and when the Flux event hit, it changed things. It shuffled systems, corrupted nodes, and broke open data stores. They take out a slate and show you a flickering polygon. Some of these Flux nodes have appeared near the epicenter of the event, but I can't get access. You, however, I saw the way you worked with data when we were preparing for the run. I think you can get into these things. I want you to find a Flux node and bring me anything you can extract. They come and go, but most can be found in the barely functioning networks of the wastes. Start there. Perhaps together we can find something that might point us to what the flux is and where it comes from. Okay. They smile. I knew you'd agree. Ash looks indignant. Don't waste too much time chasing ghosts, Sleeper. There are people on this flotilla that need any help they can get. I'm sure Sleeper can do both, Ash. Peak smiles at you. I'll see you here when you have something. Good hunting. And they wave you out as Ash stomps away to make plans of her own. We can get back to the Climbing Briar and deliver flux data. And we can do more stuff for the flotilla, except we can't right now because we're out of dice. So, let's go ahead and sleep. Actually, let's go ahead and take our stabilizer and then sleep. Because we're about to get into the only 3 dice zone, and that's not the zone I want to be in. Hey, good rolls. Let's go ahead and do our work assignment. And have a look at the wastes in cyberspace and see what we have. There's one very obvious thing that says fluxed node. And I haven't been mentioning it, but normally when you hover over a... that's still going, huh? Normally when you hover over a thing, it like spits out some random... a thing in cyberspace, it spits out some random word, letter, like faux cryptographic kind of thing. Hovering over the flux node just gives you a string of backslashes until it goes all the way off the screen. Hang on. Just for my own edification, let's get it as close to the top of the screen as possible, and then see precisely how far down those backslashes will go. I very much want it to reach the bottom of the screen. There's a small part of me that is kind of hoping that it starts doing some ASCII art if you let it go for too long. But no, we're more than halfway down now, and it's still just the backslashes. Oh, we finally hit the character limit. Didn't go all the way down. Went a long way down, though. Fluxed node. This node flickers in and out, its position shifting slightly each time. We absolutely have the dice to bypass that, so let's do that. And we have our flux data. Wonderful. Let's finish gussing up the flotilla, I think. Which gives us a new person to talk to called Soul, Pragmatic Captain. Peak mentioned them, I think, yesterday. Let's deliver the flux data first. And then we'll see what that's all about. Peak asked you to help them extract data from a node in the waste, one that appeared after the recent flux event. Peak receives the data on their slate and begins work decoding it immediately. Sleeper, come look at this. Peak is poring over one of the displays of the makeshift decoding suite they have set up. Peak is poring over one of the displays of the makeshift decoding suite they have set up in the Climbing Briar's cargo bay. On the screen, a clump of data pathways, like an ingrown root ball, has started to untangle. This is an existing node, corrupted by the flux event. It's totally twisted up. They glance at you to check that you are listening. But inside, you watch as the unwinding pathways leave behind patterns of negative spaces, like shadows staying behind despite their caster leaving. It's a whole other data set. Peak's eyes shine bright in the pale screen light. The flux event somehow seeds this data deep into the gaps in the node, wrapping them around it. Why? Peak pauses. I have no idea. You watch the screen, the pattern of shadows becoming obvious now as each layer of pathways is pulled away. The flux event itself really did a number on unprotected nodes like this one. Most of the eye's systems are screened against radiation and interference, but these exposed nodes? Peak makes a ripping motion with her hands torn apart. Peak points to a thick tangle of threads on the screen. Look, here. It looks like it's been tangled purposefully. It's actually that all the points within the node have been randomly rearranged. It's as if the node was a bag of ball bearings and the flux shook them. The pathways tried to account for the rearrangement once the system came back on, hence the tangle. Peak pauses as the node continues to unwind. Although, Peak muses, it was less like shaking a bag of ball bearings and more like making them all simultaneously occupy a superposition of every possible position in the bag before locking them back into a new configuration. But that's a technicality. They smile sheepishly. So what is the flux? We know it is a wave, one with exotic effects. That's all. Peak runs a hand through their hair. The question is not so much what the flux is, but what's causing it. Where's it coming from? Peak turns away from the screen, meeting your eye. And there's something else. Have you spoken with the refugees? A little. Peak lowers their voice instinctively. What they're reporting, massive system failures, cascading collapses of life support, of terraforming systems, total data corruption. The flux shouldn't do that. It can fundamentally rearrange the structure of systems, especially those poorly shielded, but totally collapsing heavy-duty industrial systems, fail-safes and all, that doesn't make sense. Those kinds of systems are built for deep space, for solar flares and radiation. The flux might penetrate them, but any reconfiguration should have been repairable. Peak looks back at the screen, where the decoding node lies almost fully open. A shadow pattern of the negative spaces that existed within its scrambled interior darkens the screen, like a set of bruises showing the pattern of the object that made them. I need to look into something. I have an idea what might be causing this wave, triggering the flux, but I need time to research it. Can I help? Peak shakes their head. I'm sorry, Sleeper, but I want to keep this to myself for now. If you need something to do, the flotilla could surely do with the help. From what I heard from Ash, things are tense there. Where is Ash? Must be out. I've been focusing on this, so I can't say I've noticed, although the quiet's nice. Give me some time, Sleeper. Peak turns back to their console. I'll have some answers soon enough, I hope. You take one last glance at the uncoiling node as you leave. The dark shapes it leaves behind somehow troubling. You try to shake them from your mind. There are things to be done elsewhere. That clock is going to click down in 6 cycles. So, before we do that, let's chat with Saul. Someone told me I should be thanking you. The voice comes from behind you, cutting through the chaos of the crowded, cavernous bay. You freeze. Don't be afraid now. I've been hunting you, sure, but for all the best reasons. You turn to see bright eyes set in a rough face, framed in the rusted metal. Hey, let's talk about Saul. Saul is wearing one of the really thick spacesuits, the padded ones that protect against the cold. In addition to that, is walking with a cane, has a robot arm attached to one shoulder, and his head is, oh, that's probably like just the equivalent of a helmet, right? It's sort of rectangular shaped, but is like transparent on all sides. I guess since they're out in the, like on ships in the actual vacuum, that's a useful measure to take. They also have a beard and very short layered hair. Saul, he holds out his hand, the other clamped firmly around a knotted wooden cane. Shake his hand. He grips you firmly with a heavy and calloused hand. Forgive me. As soon as I saw you, I knew who you were. Saul puts a hand on your shoulder. I've been told a Sleeper was part of that supply run that came in several cycles ago. He nods. A very welcome act. We all thank you for it. Walk with me, Sleeper. Saul sets off through the bay, his partial suit hissing and creaking as it helps carrying him through the busy crowds. You notice people making way for you and Saul, standing back and letting you pass. You pass a makeshift kitchen, steaming pots on heating elements, a restless queue collecting meals. That algae that came through isn't exactly a full meal, but try it again. That algae that came through isn't exactly a full meal, but with what we have here, we've been able to make it work. You see a ladle of a greenish stew dished out. The color is something, isn't it? Saul smiles. Saul leads you out of the larger bay into a corridor lined with storage rooms that are now serving as dorms. You see someone filling a metal container from a standpipe, the water gushing out readily. Saul nods to the person as he passes. Just a little further now. Saul leads you into a freight elevator and whistles to some unseen operator to start it up. It jerks into life, and as you pass through the layers of the ship, you see people on every level, supplies crammed into every available space, and sparks leaping in bursts as the ship is reshaped and modified to sustain its population. With heaven inch, we're expecting an exodus from the flotilla. The flux event has put a stop to that. Saul stretches. Some have crossed to the eye, but many just to gather salvage or score a hot meal. So the pressure on our supplies is shrinking, but not like I'd hoped. With the flux reaching all the way out here, people are starting to understand that our journey might not be over. Saul stares grimly ahead. Suddenly, the freight elevator screeches to a halt, and Saul leads you slowly out into a wide room with chairs and terminals, ringed by a mezzanine, and with a glass roof above, showing the distant hub and the far curve of the eye beyond. The people at the terminals nod to him as he enters. This your ship? Saul nods. That's right. The Pilgrim seat is mine to care for. He leads you up to a railed platform at the center of the room and stops. She chose me, so to speak. Well, at least her crew did, and I do my best to serve him. Saul looks around at the bridge of the ship, a pained expression on his face. I'll admit, the responsibility is not one that suits me, though we rarely get to choose such things. He glances back at you. But you, Sleeper, from what I understand, you chose to try and help us here. Is that right? I did my best to. Saul nods silently. But I have to ask you, Sleeper, why are you here now? Saul leans back and you feel his eyes on you, assessing you. I still want to help, the Flux event, or I want to know more. All three of these things are true. The Flux event. I appreciate the honesty. I'd figured as much. Saul flexes the shoulder that is free of the suit. Looking at you now, I can see that an event like that, well, it would have had a big impact. He smiles a half smile. I have thousands of people here on the Pilgrim Seed, Sleeper, and there's thousands more on the flotilla. He leans against a railing. A lot of them are looking to me to provide some future for them, some path out of this dead end we've got into. And this cycle, this very cycle, the thing we've been running away from, it just caught up with us. So these people are scared, Sleeper, and they're looking to me for reassurance. And then, on the same cycle, someone tells me they see you on board. A sleeper, the same sleeper, they reckon, that wanted so strongly to send a ship past the cordon to see us. Saul scratches at his beard. So the first thing I wanted to do was thank you for that, for your interest. He pauses. But the second thing I wanted to do was find out what you want from us. Saul's suit hisses and creaks. I think that's fair, don't you? Saul takes a deep breath. So, what is it? Tell me about the Flux, what's happening around Ember. Let me help these people. Again, all three of these things are things we want. I think what's happening around Ember is the most useful thing to say. Someone at a terminal calls out to Saul, and he shouts some orders back. He turns to you. Apologies. He smiles that half smile. I'll tell you what, Sleeper. Let's you and me make a deal. You want information. I understand that. But I have a list of needs longer than the rim of the eye itself. He grimaces. So, you do some things for me, and then we can talk about what's been happening in the system, and I will answer all your questions and then some. I may be the captain of the Pilgrim Seed, and she is certainly the biggest ship in the flotilla, but I'm not the only captain here. We have ships from each of the moons. We're from Ember's Hearth, but there's others here from Ember's Song and even Ember's Step. The moons have been at each other's throats, Sleeper. What with the pressure of the Flux and the bad blood from the old days... Saul leans in. We aren't exactly all in alignment. What I need is a way to stop things escalating. For the crews on these ships and their captains to feel happy and comfortable enough to forget old rivalries and past crimes. He flinches at something. Those from Ember's Step, well, they've always been proud, but that pride seems to be a barrier to compromise right now. The last set of supplies I sent their way, they refused. Meanwhile, I have a supply shuttle at the docking axis. Gonna try it again at the top. Meanwhile, I have a supply shuttle at the docking axis the Ember Song ships gather at, but they've taken far too many cycles to unload. Maybe if you're heading that way, you can look in on them. I'm no politician, Sleeper, but if I don't... Saul stops. He leans back and flexes, his suit screeching. He groans a little, and you see the weight of the flotilla sitting on his shoulders, the suit the only thing keeping him vertical beneath all that pressure. Look, you'll see for yourself if you go. Meet the other Sleeper. See what they need. Keep them aligned. He speaks through the pain, his voice clipped. You okay? Not really, but as long as this thing holds, he grimaces. I hope you are what you appear to be, Sleeper. He smiles his half smile, despite the pain. Because I'm not sure I can take any more bad news. Plus, there's plenty to be done here on the Pilgrim Seed, too, if you have a moment to pitch in. There's never enough around here. That's something I've learned the hard way. Saul settles onto his cane, the pain visibly receding. All right, I have 1,000 things to attend to now, sleepers, so you'll have to find your own way out. And with that, Saul sits at his terminal with slow and careful movements. You head back down in the freight elevator, and as you do, you see again the layers and layers of chaotic life this vessel and all the vessels of the flotilla hold. New drive discovered, and a couple of new places to go. What can we do on the Pilgrim Seed now? Step, Song, and Hearth. Stability in the flotilla means relieving the pressure on the refugees from all 3 moons of Ember. So that's the big clock. I presume that'll fill in as we do stuff on each of the 3 station ships. And Hearth survival. Whether Esh got her supplies to the cordon or not, Pilgrim Seed and the Hearth refugees on it desperately need help. That's already half clicked up. I assume that is because we got as many supplies through as possible. It's still going to take a lot of effort to deal with that. Food is an issue on the Pilgrim Seed, even with agriculture on board. The supply of matsutake will help fill the gap. We have a shit ton of matsutake, so yeah, actually, let's just go ahead and dump all of those into that because we don't even need to spend dice for that. Are we going to be able to? Yeah, we are absolutely going to be able to get that clock all the way filled with just the random mushrooms we had in our pockets. You hand over the matsutake to those working the canteen. They are very grateful. Sol finds you deep in the layers of the Pilgrim Seed, working on a patch for a life support vent. You hear him coming, his suit hissing as he does. Had to ask around to find you, he smiles. It seems you know the place better than me these days. I doubt it. Sol nods. I was on the work crew that built this thing, so maybe you're right. He winks. Sol holds out a hand. Stand up and let me see you. He pulls you to your feet. I don't believe we ever had a sleeper on Ember's Hearth. Sol looks you up and down. You sure do make me wish we had. Could have done with a few workers as good as you. As an entity designed to just do work, that's a little... I'm just gonna stay quiet about that. Sol tilts his head. A little on the quiet side, though. Seems like I owe you some answers, seeing as you've been working hard on the Pilgrim Seed these past cycles. And literally, I brought over 1 massive crate of mushrooms. Apparently, that was fine. He leans against a crate, his suit creaking. What do you want to know about? The Flux, Ember's Hearth, and you. All 3 of these things, again, are true. But let's talk about the Flux. Sol sighs. That's what I imagined. He scratches at his beard. I can't say I'm an expert, but I can tell you what we witnessed on Hearth. At first, we ignored it. A few farms had their automation systems blink out. Lifter suits locked up, bots reset their schedules, nothing we hadn't seen before. But then the news came out of Passarau that they'd been hit harder. The local network had gone down, no one could get it back up. It was rough for a while, but out in the farmland we were used to that. Passarau? The capital of Hearth. Tens of thousands of souls made it their home. Sol grimaces. Anyway, we thought the Flux was a freak event until the day they got the network running again. That's when the cascade happened. System after system corrupted, data lost. And then another Flux hit, and another. The bots were running circles in the fields. People had to be cut out of lifter suits like mine. In the city, I never saw it, but I heard from the others. Saul shivers. It only got worse from there. We couldn't seem to fight it. It cut us right open. That's what I know about the flux. Some folks say it came from the inner system, that it might be connected to some old tech there or something, but I never heard anything more than rumors. Saul scratches their beard. I'm sorry I don't have better news. Anything else you wanted to ask? I would like to know about Ember's Hearth. I'm glad we get to learn about all three. Sure, he smiles. I mean, I've spent my whole life on that rock, so I have plenty to tell. I'll save my life story for another time. He winks, but the short of it is that the Hearth is the first of Ember's moons, then the biggest and most populated, which is down to the successful terraforming system Cybele set up when Solheim owned the system. How are relations with the other moons? Saul smiles. It depends on who you've been talking to. You shouldn't mistake me for a politician, Sleeper. That's for others to do. But Ember's Step was a test ground for the terraforming tech that the Hearth is built on, while Ember's Song was the extraction site for the raw materials and energy needed to make it work. You can imagine that might lead to some tension. However, Saul holds up a hand. Despite what people might say, Hearth was never fully stable. Saul shakes his head. Cybele liked to talk it up, but after they pulled out and Solheim left, our people discovered they'd have to keep the systems running themselves, or the place would soon end up as dry as steppe. Hearth was good as long as the evaporators kept running, kept filling our skies with clouds. And even after the collapse, our people kept those things going, turning that subsurface ocean into a periwinkle blue sky. Flux ended that, though. And when they failed, the rains failed, and the harvest with it. Saul pauses. And soon you have a city without a way to feed itself. That's when we, some of us, made the decision to set out on this place. He gestures at the pilgrim seat and look for another future. Saul shifts on the crate. Anything else? You want to know about me? I'm not sure that was part of the deal. I'm not sure that was part of the deal I was thinking of, Sleeper. Unless you're asking about this? He raps on the metal of his suit. In case you haven't guessed, this is the only thing keeping me vertical. He adjusts a shoulder piece. It's a lifter suit, made for working the fields. We had to modify it so I could walk around after the accident. And that's all I'm saying, Sleeper. Because, to be honest with you, I don't know you more than that. You want to know about the flux, about Ember Hearth? Go ahead. But don't pry into my life, and I won't pry into yours. Saul lets the silence sit, staring hard at the floor. The suit seems to loom over him, looking more like a burden than a support. With the bars around his head, you suddenly start to think of it as a cage. Look, I don't mean to be rude. Let's just leave it there. There's too many eyes on me in this ship as it is, and I'd rather just slip into the background. Thank you very much. Saul shifts onto the crate. Anything else you wanted to ask? I think that's everything. You sure? I'm sure. Saul stands, flexing against the suit. He takes his cane in his hand. Keep it up, Sleeper. He smiles as he leaves. You're making me think I need to start making new plans for this place. With that, Saul leaves, and you wonder what he means. As he creaks away down the corridor, you can't help but feel there's more to him than it seems. Let's go ahead then and talk to, apparently, Aki, the Ember Step refugee. It's a strange sight, given your time spent in the Greenway, to see a greenhouse choked in red dust. It piles up along edges, gathers in curving waves, and is carried by some unseen wind to whirl in front of the glass ceiling. It is a desert in miniature, a captured landscape of iron-rich sediment and unseen life. Beautiful, isn't it? The remark comes from another figure standing at the viewing window, so quietly that you hadn't noticed them. Did they just arrive, or were they here before you were? Their cloth-swaddled form reveals little. It is. They say nothing. You catch a glimpse of a pale face among the thick material, dark eyes glittering in the red reflected light. Let's talk about Aki. Guarded Ember Step refugee. Visibly wearing a spacesuit, but it's mostly covered over with various cloths, what I might call a turban, although I don't know if that term is specifically accurate, and aprons in layers. They turn to you as the dust swirls. Aki, they smile a tight smile. You are not from the flotilla, am I right? I live on the eye. But that is not where you are from. She stares into the greenhouse. Everyone is from somewhere, whether they wish it to be or not. The red dust glitters in her eyes, whether it is a good place to be from or not. Aki gathers her cloak around her shoulders against the cold. What brings you to the wind's long shadow? Wind's long shadow? The ship. Aki looks at you curiously. Do you often wander around ships you don't know the name of? You are a strange one. Aki raises an eyebrow. I don't know whether to report you or send you back to where you came from. She smiles to herself, which is nowhere at all. You glance around the empty corridor, suddenly aware of how quiet it is on the ship. Unlike the other ships you've been on in the flotilla, there is a silent order to the wind's long shadow, and in this moment it feels unsettling. What happened here? Aki squints. That is a broad question, and I am not in the mood to recount the history of this ship or step. Step? Aki turns away, irritated, eager to change the subject. You hear a creak as a set of shutters slowly begins to close across the glass ceiling of the greenhouse. As you watch, you feel the dissonance this place has with that word. There is nothing green here. A dust house, perhaps. It takes many systems to preserve this landscape, Aki begins. To simulate the wind, cycle the dust, layer the sand and dirt beneath. You watch the dust swirling. Systems that are failing. The flux event, Aki glances at you for a sign of recognition at the term, is eroding our ability to keep this place alive, to keep these traces of step alive. She smiles to herself, which is ironic, because when we left step, the flux had eroded our ability to survive on the moon. Now the situation is reversed. Away from the moon, its ecosystems are as fragile as we were living upon it. Something catches your eye as the shutters darken the dust house. The winds picking away at the dunes begin to reveal something. A web, a network of thick, branching forms, and then they close completely, and you see nothing in the dark. Soft blue lights flicker on in the corridor, uplighting Aki in cold cyan. You've piqued my curiosity, but I'm so tired. Aki shivers. If you do not have a purpose here on the ship, I recommend finding one. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll need to leave. Make yourself useful, and perhaps we will get another chance to talk. She turns. I would like that. With that, Aki pads away along the corridor. You stand for a moment in front of the dark dust house, trying to imagine the network of roots under the sand and dust, and then trying to imagine the moon that once housed them. In the dust house, we can do some systems repair if we want. That, of course, clicks up a clock called Make Yourself Useful. Aki warns you that if you wanted to learn more about the wind's long shadow, you'll need to prove your usefulness. Fair dues. Let's look at the last one. The docking axis. This is not, the ship is not named. We can unload supplies, which upticks its own clock. Let's just take them one at a time and work on Wind's Long Shadow for now. For exactly 1 die, and then we'll uh, come back here to end the cycle and sleep. All right, let's do our shift to the commune. Yeah, pardon me. A yawn occurred. And we'll just get into some systems repair. We can probably fill this clock out just in one go. Yeah. And speak with Aki again. I see you've been contributing. Aki stands next to you at the dust house window. I was unsure what to expect when we joined the flotilla on its voyage to the Eye, but after the voyage across the system, then the quarantine, and then the flux reaching all the way out here too. Aki stops herself. Thank you. She bows a little. The other ships have only been interested in sending us supplies, but we grow all we need. She gestures at the dust house. What the dust houses need, that is the problem that concerns us. She smiles and turns to you. Shall we go inside? I'd love to. Aki smiles. Come. She taps away at a panel by the window. Seems only fair that after your help with the support systems, you get to see what it is you are maintaining. Aki leads you to an opening beside the window. You pass through a dark changing room. You notice Aki is sliding on an oxygen mask and visor. She looks at the swirling dust inside. Inside, it's just like Ember's Step. Thin atmosphere, constant dust storms. Nothing that will bother you. She passes you a mask. The dust isn't exactly pleasant to inhale, however, so take this. You hold it to your face. She leads you through a short decontamination tunnel with its fizzing panels of purifying light, and then through into the dust house. Immediately, the wind and the heat hits you. You feel the rough waves of dust scattering across your face and peer through the amber murk. Your feet slide. Amber murk. Get it? Like Ankita? It's fun wordplay. Your feet slide on the shifting piles of sand. Welcome to Step, or an emulation of it at least. Aki's voice sounds distant, echoey. The terraforming process only managed to provide a limited atmosphere around the moon, one which is slowly escaping. It's been like that since I was born, so I got used to the idea. You catch her bright eyes through the amber dust. So did everything else that lives there. You feel something hard beneath your feet, beneath the sand, like a coil of rope. What is under the sand? This is steppe silk. It's one of the plants we established on the steppe. She kicks away some red sand. Like any bast fiber, it can be retted and woven into clothes. I'm wearing some made from it myself. It's one of the many species adapted to steppe since the Solheim collapse, which is why it must be preserved. She stares out into the swirling dust. It is as much a refugee as we are, and the dust houses hold hundreds of other species. You look at the pale, unassuming root, threaded thickly through the sand. Aki watches you silently. Had enough? It will be easier to speak outside. Aki leads you back out through the decontamination tunnel, which blasts the dust from both of you with a burst of metallic-tasting air, and into the changing room. Aki hangs up both the masks, patiently awaiting your questions. Why bring plants with you? These are more than just plants. This is our way of life. Aki looks exhausted. The steppe silk cannot survive in any other conditions, neither can the others. And the steppe itself, Aki pauses, pulling her shawl around her. She looks small and pale inside its layers. Steppe was already a doomed world. She sniffs. When Solheim gave the terraforming contract to Cybele, they believed they could build an atmosphere, but the moon's erratic orbit made it impossible to maintain. By the time by the time of the Solheim collapse, the atmosphere was already fading, and Cybele's attention was on Emberhearth. After the collapse, Cybele fell too, its researchers scattered across the moons and any central organization lost. Since then, my parents' generation worked tirelessly to survive, to adapt what we had to the failing moon. The steppe silk, the other adapted species, and the life's work of the steppe's colonies. So, when the flux started to collapse, our computer systems. Try it again. So, when the flux started to collapse our computer systems, corrode and destroy our life support, our water supply, our agriculture, we had to leave. Aki sits heavily on a nearby bench. Soon, the only traces of Steppe will be on this ship. Aki begins to cry quietly. You are unsure of what to do. Sit beside her. You sit on the bench beside her as she sobs. You understand why this ship, why the refugees from Steppe are so different. Their world was already dying when the flux arrived. Ember Steppe is a terraformed moon, a partial atmosphere, established colonies, agriculture, and yet when the flux events started, its people had to leave. You think of the eye and the delicate web of decaying systems it rests on. What hope does a ruined station have against a wave that corrupts, corrodes, and collapses? Aki interrupts your thoughts, rubbing her eyes. Not everyone left. There wasn't room to take all the people and fill the dust houses. My parents, their friends, and many others stayed. She sniffs. We carry the step for them. You left people? I hoped you would understand. I wanted you to understand the importance of these dust houses, of what they contain. She leads you back out into the corridor. If the flux events continue to reach out to the eye, we need to build protections to ensure their safety. Aki meets your eye. I can help. Aki smiles weakly. I knew it. You will be welcome on the wind's long shadow whenever you wish. These dust houses are already decaying. I have seen it. She stares into the dust. We had thought they would last longer, but that last flux event... Help us. Aki looks at you. Please. I will. When you are ready, we will begin the preparations for reinforcing the dust houses. We need to be ready for the next flux event. Aki's eyes shine with the last of her tears. She takes a breath. I will see you soon. Aki drifts away down the corridor, leaving you alone once more at the viewing window, watching the ragged, delicate traces of the moon known as Ember's Steppe. Back in the dust houses, we predictably have new actions to move forward a preservation clock. Which, did we do our shift at the commune today? Yeah, because our energy's full. So let's go ahead and throw some dice into that. Went well. We can do that in 3 more dice if we can roll nothing but 6s, and we probably can with the way things are going. I'll tell you, those +2s that we have, making it so like everything above a 4 is a guaranteed success, or 4 and above rather, on a d6, they're really fucking paying dividends. We're gonna need to... Do we have anything that's ticking down that's urgent? I don't think so. I forgot to change the name of the fucking stream again, didn't I? I sure did. I'll deal with that on break. So in addition to that, we need to do some stuff to keep ourselves working properly, and part of that is collecting all the mushrooms here at the Haifa Labs. Or, nope, not at the Haifa Labs, at the aviary. I'm just gonna go ahead and harvest all these mushrooms. And plant the spores we have. Yeah, here, fly. There's a fly buzzing around my general tit area. I'm wearing the adorable tie-dye tank top. I literally have no recollection of where the hell I got this from. It might have been in that chunk of stuff we got from our dad's girlfriend. And let's spend that last dice here in... Windslong's Shadow will tick that preservation clock up. And go ahead and end that cycle. And that's going to put our condition down to the point where we have 4 dice instead of 5. But that's fine for right now because we're not, like, doing anything very urgent. We can afford to wait a little bit. Oh, right, I got mushrooms. I can go ahead and turn a couple of those into more stabilizer. Let's go ahead and do that thing. And it's going to take 2 more dice to finish up this clock, but we have those 2 dice available, so let's go ahead and do that. I haven't been reading the descriptions of the clocks. Preservation. If the dust houses are to preserve their closed biomes, they will need shielding against the flux and protecting from their slow decay. Which is done. You and Aki stand side by side at the viewing window in silence. The dust swirls and you glimpse the twisted root systems of the steppe silk through the ochre haze. After all these cycles, you feel a strange connection to a world on which you have never set foot. Aki shifts from foot to foot. She seems restless, eager to speak, but unsure of what to say. We did it. Aki smiles at you warmly. We did. She pauses and turns back to the window. What is the value of all this? She asks suddenly. Of preserving a world we've left behind. History, heritage, conservation. In this instance, all 3 of these words are useful. History. Aki is silent for a moment. But history is a dead. Try again. But history is dead. It is a dead thing. These plants, these ecosystems, they still live. They're no more history than you or I. She pauses. As long as we keep living, we are more than just history. Aki paces away, lost in thought. I'm grateful to you for helping to protect the dust houses, for ensuring their slide into decay is delayed, even averted. But now I find myself at an impasse. The stability of the dust houses changes things. It makes me aware of how blinkered we have been. Aki stops to look at you, her posture somehow different. If the ecosystems of steppe, if its people, cannot grow to meet the future, why preserve it? She frowns. Are we just slaves to the preservation of what came before? Not slaves, inheritors is doesn't really is a good way to look at that, but that's not the question she's asking. You can change. Aki comes close, holds your hands in hers. We must change. We must change to live. She smiles. I have seen that in you. The steppe, these people, this ship, should serve more than heritage, than history. They should serve the future. She takes a breath. There are those in the flotilla that need clothes, that need food, that can benefit from the gifts of the steppe's ecosystem. I want you to invite them. Can you do that for me? Of course. I know that Sol sent you. She smiles. You can tell him Aki, captain of the Wind's Long Shadow, invites all the people of the flotilla to come. I will. She nods. Aki steps away. You want to know about the flux, no? About its purposes, its origins. She smiles. You wish to protect your home as we could not. I'm afraid I don't have much to tell you. It is an exotic wave of sorts, an energy that passes through matter. It shifts the very charged particles which run through our electrical systems. It is possible to shield against it, as you would radiation, as we have done with the dust houses, but only while it is weak. The flux event here was much like the first ones we felt on Ember's steppe, localized, destructive but bearable. In time, its strength grew. I don't know if it will be the same here, but she pauses. It is coming from the center of the system, from the close orbit of Hellion's star, H1. That is all we could uncover. She is silent for a moment, unsure of what to add. I'm sorry I cannot offer more, but you are always welcome on this ship. She smiles. I hope I will see you when the others come. She squeezes both your hands. I hope this ship, these dust houses, can be more than a museum. I hope they can be a home. With this, she turns and leaves, and you feel that word, home, resonating in you like a struck bell. That's the second of the flotilla ships on board. Let's go ahead and go to the docks and start unloading supplies. Ugh. Someone comes to help you unload for a while, making the work go quicker. When you ask their name, they ignore you. What's going on? My was because it's been rare. And in fact, I don't think it has ever been the case that when we get a positive result on a die roll, we fill a red clock. All of the positive clocks are yellow, all of the negative or complicated clocks are red. And I guess this one sits pretty firmly in the complicated camp. Let's, because I forgot to go ahead and do our stint in the commune for the day. And end the cycle. Stretch and bend. You're huge. You must have huge ligaments. Stretch and bend. Okay. Go ahead and start off with the work shift so I don't forget, like I almost did yesterday. And head on back to the Ember Song ship. Well, that's going to take all of our dice, but that's fine. We got there. There is a loose crowd around the supplies that you have unloaded, and a tense mood brewing among them. You sit nearby on the edge of the shuttle's docking tunnel, resting. Further away, crews from Ember's Song continue their lives as usual, coming and going, trading, discussing. There is a quiet efficiency to the hub, set up as a common space for the swarm of small ships from Ember's Song that are part of the flotilla. Unlike Hearth or Steppe, there is no one capital ship for this moon's refugees, just a mass of individuals traveling in concert. We told Hearth we didn't want their scraps. The jeering voice comes out of the small crowd nearby. This is Peter, P-E-T-R. Not Toriyama. I can't remember the artist's name. They look like a mob psycho. That's not been untrue of other characters, but Peter here really looks like a mob psycho character. In one of the slimmer jumpsuits with overalls and a bevy of wires going from place to place around them. They're wearing what looks for all the fucking world like a Nintendo Power Glove on one arm. You turn to see a gaunt, pale man wearing the industrial work gear you have seen many of the Song refugees wearing. You hear me? The supplies are to help? He smirks. Oh, how noble of you, coming out here to help us singers. There's a rumble of anger around the crowd. We agreed to join the flotilla for joint protection. We did not agree to Ember Hearth's using the flotilla to... We did not agree to Ember's Hearth using the flotilla to secure their control of the moons. You realize Petter is addressing the crowd as much as he is addressing you. With the cordon down, our crews are more than able to acquire what's needed from the eye, what's owed as restitution for keeping us restrained. He pats one of the crates you unloaded. What we need, we will take. Sol wants to cooperate. Sol's a farmer. Even the people of the Song know he was simply the sole survivor of Hearth's leadership. His authority means nothing. Peter looks around at the crowd. Hearth think they can buy us, but we remember the past. A rumble of agreement runs through the crowd. He smiles at them. Take the supplies if you wish, of course. We're not wasteful. Peter approaches you directly. The crowd tentatively moves forward, and by the time he reaches you, they are already dragging away the crates and distributing the contents. I'm not one for shooting the messenger sleeper, says Peter as he approaches, but we cannot concede to Hearth here, not for a moment. I don't understand. Yeah, I can see that. Petter sits beside you on the docking tunnel's lip. What was your plan, Sleeper? Unload the supplies and wait for someone to start throwing them back at you? He nods at the crowd rifling through the crates. Because that's what was about to happen. So I should thank you? Petter bows a little. My pleasure. What do you think happened to the crew of this shuttle? He shakes his head. They were chased out of this place. What is happening here? We are maintaining our independence. He smiles. Do you know anything about Ember's moons, Sleeper? Or were you planning to wander into this flotilla totally blind, an objective outsider offering help? He rolls his eyes. I know a little. A little's the same as nothing. I'm going to assume you know the basics. The gas giant Ember has 7 moons. The 3 biggest are Ember's Step, Ember's Song, and Ember's Heart. He winks. We can cover the 3 sisters next session. Step was the first to be settled. A contract old Solheim gave the terraformers Cybele Systems. I don't know why it's got a X engrave over it. When they first claimed the Helion system, that's way back when. Step was a testing ground, and like most testing grounds, it didn't turn out too well. A partial atmosphere slowly sloughing off each orbit, a dysfunctional ecosystem, and a whole load of dust-clogged settlers. The place is a miserable desert, long past its best before date. So, Cybele moved to Hearth, where they redoubled their efforts. The subsurface ocean and some balmy tidal heating helped, allowing them to build a real atmosphere, a real hospitable world, the fact that the typical Hearth colonist won't ever let you forget. How did Cybele achieve such a thing, you might wonder? Well, that's where we come in. It's that same old rule of surrogacy, the one humanity built our universe around. Peter claps a hand to his chest in mock pride. My moon, Ember's Song, is a sulfur-soaked rock covered in volcanoes, tidally heated by its inner orbit to sweltering temperatures. Exactly the kind of crucible you need to fuel a terraforming project. Energy, industry, fuel. Song provided the raw materials for Hearth. Peter grimaces, willingly or not. And a crucible requires people to run it, us singers born into a flaming pit and asked to stoke it so that others might live in a paradise in the making. That's what we had to endure, until Solheim brought everything down. Petter rattles off this speech from memory, and you wonder how many times he has delivered it. No Solheim, no contract, no Cybele, and no Cybele meant 3 moons suddenly independent. Petter shakes his head. It was a war, Sleeper. Sometimes hot, sometimes cold, and unsurprisingly, Hearth and Step came out of it better than us. Yet, Petter holds up a hand, they need us, Sleeper, always have. And so we are the linchpin. We're the center around which the moons orbit, not swirling ember. We've resisted takeovers, sieges, and expansions, and now we'll resist this. Half the people on this ship think the flux was caused by Hearth, intentionally or otherwise, and I have to say, some cycles I agree. So before you come here to hand out supplies like a good soldier, maybe educate yourself. What does that matter now? Petter shakes his head. Do you forgive crimes against yourself so easily, Sleeper? Would you return to the bosom of Essen Arp if they sent someone to collect? Petter stares at the crowd. Don't presume to judge us. I want you to imagine what it's like to try to live on an airless, volcanic rock when every system that sustains you starts shutting down. He spits and wipes the sleeve across his mouth. We abandoned nothing. Some stayed, some left, but we will reclaim Ember as soon as the flux fades or ends. We've weathered worse. Don't you need the supplies? As I said, we'll take what we need when we need it. Petter stares out into the axis. There is no authority that we recognize here. I won't keep you from the docking axis, Sleeper. No one here has the authority for that. But watch yourself here. Try to remember that the Eye is just another in the long list of people who have tried to control us. I understand. Petter nods. Then let it guide your actions. Petter sighs. Look, we are many, and we have many needs. Ships come to this docking access for repairs, for requisitions, for friendship. You can provide these as well as any singer. If you want to help, help in your own name, Sleeper, not in that of the hearth. Carry that name here, and you will lose all trust. Be as we are. Act in your own name alone. Petter puts a hand on your shoulder and stands. I hope I didn't just waste my time here, Sleeper. And with that, he walks away, back to the shrinking crowd that is disturbing the last of the supplies among the crews present. You watch them pass the food and water between them. No signs of conflict between the crews, just a careful distribution of resources. Petter chats with a few crews, each of them casting looks in your direction, ones that reveal little about the singer's intentions. You stand. It seems that the tensions on the flotilla run much deeper than you expected. This won't be easy. Let's take a look at the scores. Sean Con... It's been a while since I've watched those, the Celebrity Jeopardies. I might go back and do that. I know that I'm gonna feel a little nonplussed about some of it. Anyway. Supply spores. One of the ships is trying to establish a mushroom farm to help feed the crews. They are looking for spores to get them started. And ship mine replacement. One of the Singer crews is looking for ship mine to replace their flux-damaged core. Maybe you can help them acquire one. I mean, we have 2 pieces of ship mine already. It shouldn't be that hard to get a third. And we already have 1 spore. We could probably get another with the roll of 1 dice. So hang on, let me go back to the rotunda real quick and see if the scrap merchants are there. No, when do you show up? Oh, when I just missed you, fuck. It's gonna be 8 cycles or something. I could just buy one. It's 240 cryo. We have so much fucking money. That literally does not matter to me right now. So, let's go ahead and end this particular cycle. And I'm going to head off to the break. And we'll clear things up with the Ember Song folks when I get back. Before I do that, I want to take the opportunity to remind you that Black Lives Matter, that Indigenous lives and lands matter, the lives of people of color matter, that Sudanese, Congolese, Iranian, Ukrainian, Palestinian lives matter. There are many ways to be in solidarity with your fellow travelers upon this earth, and we like to push for direct mutual aid, as it helps people who are suffering right now suffer less, and people who are suffering less can stand shoulder to shoulder with us that little bit taller. So on the break, I'm going to go to my social media, to the mutual aid hashtag, and boost what needs I can there. I recommend that you take the opportunity to check out mutual aid initiatives in places you operate, both online and in meat space. Because the only way we get out of this is through. The only way we get through this is together. In the meantime, maybe drink some water, have a snack, take your meds if it's time for you to take your meds, hit the restroom, do whatever self-care is useful to you. I'll do the same. And I'll catch you back here in just a little bit. Hi, welcome back. You're my number one lady for gravy. My number one lady for gravy. It's from Simple and Ollie. It's not important. Uh, Crudge. What the hell were we doing? Spores, right? And the ship mind, which we went and bought. Just fuck it. How much longer is the aviary going to need to? That's going to be done growing next cycle, so we can probably get some more stabilizer after that. In the meantime, let's go ahead and help Petter and the crew. We will supply the spores. We will replace the ship mind. As you cross the axis, looking for a shuttle to take you back to the ruined Cordon. Cordon? Cordon. Pardon me a moment, I just realized that I had not brought the chat back up. It'll connect any moment now. Did I remember to hit the button that brings us back from BRB? I sure didn't. You haven't missed a lot in terms of visuals. I clicked through a couple things. This is the first, piece of dialogue text that we've had. As you cross the axis, looking for a shuttle to take you back to the ruined Cordon, you spot Petter standing at the edge of the central hub. Something about the way he's leaning against the rail, looking down across the axis and towards the blinking lights of the flotilla beyond, makes you pause. He is completely still, his head drooping low and his shoulders hunched high. Why not approach him? You lean on the railing a little way from Petter, leaving a gap between you. This close, you can see the blank stare in his eyes, the way his hands hang limply in front of him. He takes a minute to notice you. Sleeper, he inhales sharply. Still hanging around? You okay? Petter pauses. Not really, no. Petter closes his eyes. You can feel his mind whirring, the thoughts refusing to be still. You know, Sleeper, he says, without opening his eyes, no one asked you to come here. Clenches his jaw. So why don't you just get lost? He looks directly at you, his stare a challenge. What's with you? Petter stands back from the railing. Who invited you, Sleeper? Who said you could come here? You think because the Harthers decided to name you their errand boy, we have to put up with you? I almost call them the Heathers, which has its own connotations that also sort of fit. We don't want you here. We don't need you. His eyes burn with rage. Go home, you stupid machine. A second after he shouts that final line, he collapses in on himself, staying upright, but all the energy going out of his body. He slumps back against the railing, his eyes closed once more. You wait. After a while, he speaks. I'm tired, Sleeper. I'm tired of everything. I'm tired of the empty paternalism of the hearth. I'm tired of the paranoid whining of the crews. I'm tired of the endless cycles that look the same, smell the same, feel the same. I'm tired of running, of hiding, of fixing every shitty thing that breaks out here. His shout echoes a little in the hub, but few stop to look. He looks down at his feet. I get it. Petter nods. I'm sorry, Sleeper, he sighs. Something has I don't feel okay. Just tired, I think. Really tired. The word you want, Petter, is burnout. I'm gonna go get some sleep. Good. Petter nods slowly, turning away. He raises a hand and drifts away towards the center of the hub. You turn back to the railing, not wanting to watch him go. Seeing him like this, you'd prefer not to stare. Traffic of the axis rumbles on as you watch under an endlessly shining sun. The same air recycled through all of these lungs, the same dust gathering speck by speck on the windows. You take a sharp breath, stand straight, and get moving before the inertia of it all gets to you too. We have another clock available to us. We'll click this one up by doing stuff on the Axis job board. The houses have an overflowing job board of engineering tasks requested by the crews. You can help out here. Or crew socializing. The Axis is as much of a social hub as it is a supply hub. Keeping good relations with the crews will help them trust your work. We'll probably do the job board mainly because it's an engineering role and we're good at engineering. Oh, that's neutral. Okay. Yeah, a positive does click us up by 2. So let's go ahead and do one of those. I remembered just in time that I need to do my work shift at the commune for the day. So let's do that. And I think that Peak's clock is going to be done clicking down. At the end of this cycle, so let's see how that goes. I'm sure that will be exciting. And not terribly worrying as we learn more about this incredibly dangerous cyberological phenomena. Have you ever heard of con channels, Sleeper? Peak asks as soon as you enter the bay, as if you were in the middle of a conversation. There are heavy circles under their eyes, and you aren't sure if they've moved since you last visited. The console they are working at seems to have grown too, shadowing their slight frame in a wealth of screens and wires. Con? You mean for transit? Yeah, exactly. Peak turns to face you. Kilmani's active negation, the name of the effect used to transport trillions of tons of materials from the surrogate systems to the core. You might have heard of it in your physics classes. At XPR, they hammered the principles into us as kids. Can. Or con. K-A-N. Peak recites the definition as if in the classroom. A process of collapsing spatial causality along the Euclidean distance between 2 points by negating mass simultaneously at both ends of a geodesic curve. Essentially, con channels, I'm going to go with con, allow for the near instantaneous transport of raw materials between systems. They require huge volumes of energy, of course, and decades of construction, but once a con channel is established, it opens up a system for infinite exploitation. I agree that cons can be infinitely exploitative. That's why I don't like them. The backbone of surrogacy is what XPR called them. Peak shakes their head. They might not be able to send anything more complex than a rock through them. Complex machines and people are, shall we say, reconfigured by the process, but for raw molecularly pure materials? Peak flicks a hand. Whoosh. Where's this going? Peak pauses. What I was trying to find out was whether the Helion system, this system, ever held a con channel. Con channels are vastly expensive to build, to run. Not every surrogate system has one. Many use fraction drive ships to transport their materials to the nearest hub. But Solheim, Peak smiles, Solheim spared no expense when they established this system. There's a con channel? Yep. Peak's eyes light up. They shut it down before the collapse. They couldn't run the sender receiver station anymore, but it was still there. It still is as far but it was there. It still is as far as I can tell, closely orbiting our star. In fact, Peak grins. They've been building to this. I'm sure it's still there because one of the issues with the con channels are the massive waves of exotic energy they can produce when cycling up. The flux. Yeah, exactly. Peak's face suddenly drops. Someone is starting up the channel. Why? Peak sucks in a breath. That I don't know. They start counting off information on their fingers. They need a lot of resources to do it, and they need to have people from the core systems, but there's no real large-scale extraction in the Helion system anymore, so why would you go through the trouble? Maybe it's Solheim? Peak shakes their head. The company went under decades ago, Sleeper. We might not get much core news out here, but it seems unlikely. They pause. But I've also been thinking. The flux, the wave the con effect produces is a side effect, a problematic one, but it isn't a destructive force. If it was, the core systems would have never been able to use it. So then why are colonies collapsing because of it? Why is it chewing through systems, the kind of industrial systems set up to function within the range of a once active con channel? Peak is getting frustrated. The moons of Ember have been terraforming since before the collapse. They would have had to deal with the flux, yet everything we've heard from the refugees says it brought down every system they had. Peak falls quiet, thinking it all through. Your mind drifts too, thinking of the con channels, those vast acausal highways that prop up the core systems and their endless appetite for resources. The system has been quiet for decades. Solheim collapsed, most corporations gave up their claims, and apart from the Celis ships that came to begin work on the sidereal horizon, no one from the core has come here in all that time. You shiver as you imagine the attention of the core, the systems of logic and exploitation that created you, created your suffering, turning towards the Helion system. A floodlight turned to this dark corner. A shrill bleep catches both of your attention, and Peak rushes to a screen, one showing a crude map of the station. On it, individual markers begin to flare up with insistent chirps. Peak looks puzzled for a moment, and then their face drops. No, 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 no. They lean in close. This doesn't make any sense. What's happening? The flux nodes are appearing elsewhere on the station. Peak pulls at their hair. I set the system to alert me to other flux nodes near the epicenter of the flux event, but these are everywhere. The hub, the low end, the shipyard. How can this happen? The only reason we saw flux nodes here is because it's the most rundown part of the station. They were barely shielded. But others appearing? So far after the event? Peak turns to you. You're going to need to get me the data from these nodes, and quickly. I'll keep looking what I have here, but I need to know why they're popping up everywhere. Right now? Right now. We can talk more about con channels and system history when you're back, but this needs our attention right now. Peak turns quickly back to the monitor, their eyes following scrolling screens of code spewing from the newly fluxed nodes. You leave quickly, but struggle to shake the image of the spotlight from your mind. You feel watched as you cross back into the Pilgrim Seed on your way to a shuttle bay. You hurry onward, eager to outrun the fear. Well, right now means right now, so let's go ahead and do that thing. We need to be in cyberspace to see the nodes light up. That's a Yadigan agent. There we go. One fluxed node. Ah. And two flux nodes. Ah, ah, ah. And then the last one was up in the hub. We need to be back in meat space so that we can get into the car. And there we go. Thank you. Three flux nodes. Ah, ah, ah. Huh? Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. Hey, the bar is back on the cyberspace menu. Behind the eye, the one that popped up whenever we were being tracked by Hunter and Killer. It doesn't say Hunter or Killer, it says question mark, question mark, question mark. Which doesn't make me feel better. Let's go ahead and hand that data over real quick. Hey, Peak. I got that data for you. I like how the Heavenage hardliners apparently just sort of fucking gave up. Apparently, they were just like, oh, our big cool wall fucked up, and now we're just not gonna bother anymore. We only wanted to be bigots when it was easy to keep people at a distance. You watch as Peak works on the flux data, the nodes unfolding like flowers now, giving in to Peak's increasingly sophisticated decoding protocols. Seeing data like this as an image on a screen is an almost unrecognizable representation to you. It's nothing like swimming among the nodes and threads. Despite this, Peak has proven themselves to be more than able to handle these complex data structures, even through this limited representational program. The bay door hisses, interrupting your flow of the thoughts. Your flow of the thoughts in the brain in the head attached to the body by the neck, the body which lives in the eye. You turn, it's not important, you turn to see Esh entering. Esh! She looks up and meets your eye, but doesn't respond. Esh stalks into the bay, head down. She looks tired and not in a mood to talk. How's the weapon hunt? Peak asks without turning from the screen. Slow, unsuccessful, and tedious. Esh slams a bag down on a crate and hops up to sit on it. You still unpicking balls of yarn? With the sleeper's help. Peak smiles. They brought me some good stuff this cycle. Maybe they could help you find the weapons you were smuggling? It's clear that Esh does not appreciate Peak's tone. Still looking? Uh-huh, Esh replies. And whoever took them better be making the most of their rapidly shortening lifespan right now. Esh, Peak cuts in without looking away from the console. We talked about this. This is my mistake, Peak, and I'll fix it how I want. Esh folds her arms. I know one of the factions on the flotilla has taken them. I just need to find out. Shh. Peak holds up a hand. They lean in towards the screen. Son of a... What? They hid it in the wake of the wave. Peak is whispering to themselves. It's alive. They lean back in their chair. Esh crosses over to look at the screen. Alive? Well, it's growing. It's processing. It's quietly working away in the dark. Look. You cross over to the screen and stand beside Esh. In it, you can see that Peak has all 4 nodes decoded, and the pattern of shadows from inside them sit on the screen like dark stains. Then you notice it, the movement. The thin threads cross from one strain to another. As you watch, you notice the movement only ever happens in your peripheral vision, as if this thing, this shadow, knows it is being watched. This is how the other flux nodes appeared. Peak rubs their eyes. They weren't fluxed by the wave, they were corrupted after the fact. This thing, this shadow that entered in the wake of the wave, it corrupted them. But it made the corruption look like the result of the flux. It's a sleight of hand. Peak runs a hand through their hair. The flux wave is so massive, so complex, that it opens up the systems to be attacked, and as it reconfigures exposed systems, the shadow is broadcast in, implanted inside. The wave from the con channel, it's a brute force way of hitting every system in Helion. Once the systems are vulnerable, Peak looks pale, their eyes reflect the screens. The flux isn't what's attacking the systems. It's the siege weapon, a Trojan horse. Then this thing takes over. And it's already on the eye. Wait. Ash rubs her forehead. You're telling me there's a con channel in the system? Shit. Peak isn't listening. This is bad. We have to take this to someone. Peak looks desperately at you. We can choose Helene or Sol. I don't really want to go to Helene. But on the other hand, I figure if we go to Saul, he'll be like, hey, I don't have access to any of the Eye's systems, so... Fuck it. Right, the refugees need to know. Ash cuts in. Maybe they can protect themselves against it. Lead an evacuation. An evacuation? Are you insane, Ash? Peak is desperate. Heaven Edge are the station administrators. They need to know. The argument rages between them, and as you watch them shouting, you feel sick. After a while, they stop, running out of things to say. An unsettling silence descends on the bay. I need more time, Peak says quietly. I need to look at solutions, try to build a case, collate the evidence. We mess this up. They look down at their hands. Ash goes to speak and then thinks better of it. Not a word, sleeper. Peak meets your eye. Don't tell anyone until they're ready. They sigh. With the tension among the refugees, Sol won't be ready to hear this, and Helene and Heaven Edge are still mired in some kind of crisis. We tell Heaven Edge they're likely to react badly, and if we tell Sol, I doubt he'll take it well either. If you can calm the situation in the flotilla, then we can choose. You're too twisted up in this, Peak, Ash says quietly. This is not our place. We don't owe... Stop, Ash. Peak slumps in their chair. Stop. You leave them like that, exhausted and troubled, and head back out into the Pilgrim Seed. When you close your eyes, you think of those shadows, that movement at the edge of your vision, something dark and growing in the station like a parasite. You feel sick, your vision blurs. What comes next? You stop in a corridor and take a breath, putting a hand on a rumbling metal wall. For now, the eye keeps spinning. For now. Got an upgrade point out of that. Good for us, I guess. Worrisome. Let's... Oh, I already re-rolled this and it showed up as a 2. Let's go ahead and do it anyway. We'll take a shot at the job board. Got a neutral outcome. Oh shit, I forgot to do my stint at the commune. I should have used that for the other die. Damn it. Okay, well, it's clearly time to take our meds, so let's do that. And we'll see how tomorrow looks. We're almost like done making sure the flotilla has everything they need, I think. So let's go ahead and wrap that up here at the Singer's Station. Oh fuck, I need to eat. This is a regular feeling for me. I'm just gonna, well, okay, well, first of all, I'm just gonna scroll my way back to the, no, not the dorm, the commune. And do my shift. Because I get energy back from doing that. And I guess I'll just go buy some spicy fungus real quick. We haven't seen Emphas in a while. Not that, like, there's new scenes over there. But, like, from a roleplay perspective, it's just nice to, like, stop by the stall, go, hey. Oh, the scrap freighter's here. I'm gonna buy some cheap scrap and see if I can't get that third ship mind core. There we go. Let's go ahead and fabricate that. And I could sell it off, but I kind of just want to keep it with me in case it comes in useful later. Let's use this other 3 that we have to pick some fungus while I'm still thinking about it. Come on, caps. No. Very much wanted some club head caps. It's nice to be, like, ahead of the stabilizer use, but I would rather be really ahead of the stabilizer use. Go ahead and drop this last die into place. And there we go. Sleeper, Petter calls to you as you cross the axis. He is standing by the same railing as you saw him at He is standing by the same railing as you saw him at last time, and he beckons you over. I've been hearing things. He gives you a sidelong look. Good things? Mostly. He rubs his hands together nervously. You wait for him to speak. You know, on song, I was a teacher. He glances at you, anticipating a response. Really? Petter sighs. Don't sound so surprised. Mechanical engineering. It's an essential subject on a moon where a single mechanical failure could mean the deaths of hundreds. He looks at the ground. The heat, the atmosphere, the radiation, all of it is hostile to us. My students knew this. Their work, their training was respected. As long as they were careful and respected Song themselves, they could have their choice of colony placements. They were always in demand. That meant I was respected, surrounded by friends and colleagues, always able to call in favors and repay them like for like. He frowns. Song colonies are small, close-knit. We look after our own. When the flux events started hitting, colonies went dark overnight. We all knew what those kind of failures meant. Like always, we lost more people than any of the other moons. He balls his hands into tight fists. Not a single one of my students left Song. Our future was cut off, just like that. My future. He flexes his hands. What am I out here What use am I? Song is a fading memory. The systems we built there are useless outside of its orbit. How am I supposed to move on from here? He looks at you, eyes steely gray and glinting. Find someone to teach? Petter pauses, thinking. You don't give up, do you, Sleeper? You just keep on going. Petter shakes his head. You remind me of a student of mine, one who entered the program from one of the smaller colonies. They didn't have the advantages of some of the others, but they were stubborn as hell. By the end of the program, they were the most skilled of their peers. They didn't get the best assignment, maybe because they didn't spend much time making the kinds of connections that would help you get there. But that didn't matter, because I knew they would make the best of anything they set themselves to do. Petter's smiling now, buoyed up a little by the memory. Singers are stubborn, Sleeper. We aren't going to change easily. We don't forgive easily or take help easily. But we'll hold strong. You can count on us for that. Petter stands from the railing. When you see Saul again, you can tell him that. You can tell him how the crews of Ember's Song operate. Tell him we will resist. If that means resisting Hearth's imperialist ambitions, so be it. If it means resisting the Flux, so be it. And if it means to, as you have, help others resist those same pressures, so be it. Petter smiles, and then tell him to leave us alone. He turns, his step lighter, and heads off towards the center of the Axis's hub. Yeah, a bunch of people swearing outside my window. It's like that sometimes. When you arrive at the bridge of the Pilgrim Seed, Saul is waiting for you. You wouldn't believe the messages that have come through in the past few cycles, Sleeper. He smiles. The ship from the steppes sent a goodwill gesture, a whole cache of supplies from their own farms. I'm not sure how we'll use them, but the gesture's a welcome one. Song, meanwhile, are apparently accepting supplies again, although a little reticently, if I may say so. Saul smiles. I don't expect them to change anytime soon, it should be said. And what I'm wondering, Sleeper, is what part you had in all of this? Saul eyes you, waiting for an answer. I helped where I could. I've come to expect that of you, Sleeper. He smiles. You look at Saul, his eyes bright... pardon. You look at Saul, his eyes bright and eager, and wonder what he sees in you. Are you a tool to be used or an ally? It can be hard to tell. I want to show you something. Saul squeezes your shoulder, turning you to face the lift. He leads you along the axis of the ship, towards the engines, the clanking of his suit accompanied by the constant hammering and welding that fills the echoey bulkheads of the Pilgrim Seed at all hours. With the cordon lifted and shuttles able to go out to salvage scrap and barter for supplies, the ship has become a place of transformation, moving towards some state yet to be revealed to you. You look at Saul. What is his plan here? What is he preparing the Pilgrim Seed for? Or are his sharp eyes simply focused on making it through the next cycle? Suddenly, Saul stops in front of a huge bulkhead door, like the seal on the front of a dry dock hangar. He signals to someone in a cabin high up, attached to the wall, and they begin the process of opening it up. The Pilgrim Seed was built as a short-range carrier, you know? The amber warning lights on the bulkhead door send spinning shadows across Saul's face. We built it to ship the entire harvest from thousands of farms in the silos at Passarau. Now, when we realized we'd need to leave, it was the biggest ship we could muster. Saul raps on a metal plate. And somehow, she's carried us all the way out here. You led the excavation? Me? Not even close. I was a farmer. I had a whole load of land and people to run it, and my people helped convert this place for the long trip. He looks at his feet. Others led, organized the evacuation, and debated the plan. What happened? Not one of those folks made it. We were out in the black a long time before we got here, Sleeper. Things happen. The upshot is I was chosen to take over. I guess my crew trusted me, and I knew the ship. I argued, reminded them I'm no leader, and that I'm sick, but, well, when service chooses you... A loud klaxon sounds, indicating the bulkhead doors are ready to open. They groan as they slide back, the metal squeals echoing through the vast ship, bouncing off its hard-plated walls. At first, all you see is darkness. Then the lights go on in huge strips that stretch back and back as far as you can see. The space in front of you, a vast bay, bigger than any you have ever seen, is empty. When we left Hearth, we didn't have the time or resources to convert the entire ship. Sol begins, leading you into the massive space. So much of the freight space we sealed away, shut down. But now, we have time, we have resources, we stabilized here, at least for the moment. So, now's the time we make use of all this. What are you planning? What do you think happens next for the Eye, Sleeper? Sol sighs. The flux has already hit one part of the station, and from what I know, it'll hit again. On Hearth, we lost everything. There isn't much time, Sleeper, but there is enough time to do something. Think of the number of people we can fit on here. The farming stacks, the housing, hell, we can plant some of those mushrooms you love so much. This is the way forward. It's the only way. We need to fill this ship with able bodies and head for the Starward Belt. I thought the Eye was your destination. It was, until the flux hit here. Now it's just another stop. I'm glad of the chance to resupply and salvage, but we need to go further out. I want you to help me. You know the Eye. You have connections, and you can work hard. I've seen it. Sol meets your eye. I know you're like me, Sleeper. You didn't choose service, but it chose you. Can this work? It has to, Sleeper. There's nothing else. I know it's a lot to think about, Sleeper. Trust me. Sol begins to lead you back out of the bay. But think of what we can do here. The flotilla can't last forever. We need more than just farmers to make this work. We need to build a new world for ourselves. I've heard that out there in the belt there are people who've been setting up since the collapse, making something of their own. That's our future, tucked away in those rocks, far from all of this. Sol sighs. I didn't bring my people here just to let them die somewhere new. Sol crosses back over the threshold of the bay and signals for the operator to close it up. The door groans, and Sol waits for it to stop. Think about it, Sleeper. Sol claps an arm on your back, but don't wait too long. This is happening soon. And he leaves you there, in the silence of this vast bay, your head spinning with the thought of leaving the Eye. Another upgrade point, but we need a third in order to upgrade one of our skills again. Episode Refuge is complete. The second part of the flotilla story is complete. The third episode, Purge, the final episode, will begin when the clock below is complete. It's got 2 cycles on it. Good luck! Let's... The bar is gone again. Well then, what the shit? I hate that. Was it just at the hub? It is just at the hub. But there's not another node up here we can activate to get it to finish doing whatever it's doing. I find that very strange. Like, technically Hunter is trapped up there. So maybe it's that, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway, let's do some work for our friends real quick. We'll, put in a shift here at the bar. And we'll go back up to the hub and... Help Moritz out in the bay. Then I guess we'll gather some more mushrooms, do our work stint at the commune for the day. Oop, and that's got us our second club head caps. So let's turn those into stabilizer. Do our work shift. And I think I'm gonna call the stream here for the evening because the waiting for the next episode is gonna be. I think that's just a good narrative place to leave off. So. Thank you to anyone joining me. Thank you to anyone watching this as a VOD. Next stream's gonna be more of this tomorrow, like usual. Until then, September of the Free Association. And I want you to know that I love you. Keep yourself safe. Find something to do and do it. Later.